solving quadratic equations by extracting square roots. Our first problem, we have b squared minus 64 equals to 0. So this is a quadratic equation, but because of the exponent 2, and we can extract the square root because 64 is a perfect square. So to find for the value of b, we first need to separate b squared and 64. So to separate them, we need to transpose negative 64 to the other side. So transposing, what will be left on the left side will be b squared. And if we transpose negative to the other side, this will change its sign. This will become positive 64. And then to find for the value of b, we need to extract the square roots. Okay, so we need to raise both sides of the equation to 1/2. So b squared raised to 1/2, 64 raised to 1/2. Okay. So the exponent here, the denominator of the exponents, this will be the equivalent of the roots. So since 2 is their root, this will be the square. So this will be the square root. Okay, our base is b squared, and the exponent here will be the numerator. So our numerator of the our numerator here is 1, so that will be the exponent of b squared. So this will be b squared raised to 1. This is equal to, again, that is the square root, since this is 2, and our base is 64. And then this will be raised to the exponent of 1, since 1 is our numerator. So this will be 64 raised to 1. Now, this is now equal to b squared, and this is the square root of 64. Now, the square root of b squared is b. And the square root of 64, there will be 2 roots, so we will have plus minus. The square root of 64 is plus minus 8. Okay, let us check if our answers are correct. So check. So for b equals to positive 8, and for b equals to negative 8. So we have here b squared minus 64 equals to 0, and also b squared minus 64 equals to 0. So our b here is positive 8 raised to 2 minus 64 equals to 0. And our b here, that is negative 8 raised to 2 minus 64 equals to 0. So positive 8 raised to 2 is 64 minus 64 equals to 0. And negative 8 raised to 2, that is also 64 minus 64 equals to 0. So 64 minus 64 is 0. So 0 is equal to 0. So our first value is correct. Okay. Our next value, 64 minus 64, this is also equal to 0, equal to 0. So our second value, which is b equals to negative 8, is also correct. So these are our final answers. Solving quadratic equations by extracting square roots. Our next problem is a squared equals to 256. So to extract the square root, so we will have here a squared. We are going to raise both sides of the equation by 1/2. So we are going to raise this by 1/2, raised to 1 over 2, 256 raised to 1 over 2. So if we are going to raise this, the denominator here, this will be our root, and the numerator will be the exponent of the base. Okay, so this will be equal to the square root our base here will be a squared, and our numerator of the exponent, so this will be the exponent of the base, that is equal to 1. And this is also equal to the square root. Our base will be 256. Our exponent will be the numerator, and that is 1. So this will be a squared, the square root of a squared, equals to the square root of 256. The square root of a squared is equal to a, and we have here the square root of 256. There will be two roots, the positive and the negative. So this will be positive and negative, and the square root of 256 is 16. And now let us check if our answers are correct. So we are going to substitute a equals to positive 16, and also another a, which is negative 16. Our equation is a squared equals to 256. Another a squared equals to 256. So our a here is positive 16 raised to the power of 2. And this is 256. So we have here negative 16 raised to the power of 2 equals to 256. So 16 raised to 2 is 256, and this is equal to 256. Negative 16 raised to the power of 2, this will be positive 256 equals to positive 256. So therefore, our two answers are correct. Solving quadratic equations by extracting square roots. Our next problem, we have 16 y squared minus, or rather 16y squared is equal to positive 576. So to solve this, we first need to separate 16 from 16y squared. So we have here 16y squared equals to 576. So to separate 16 from 16y squared, divide both sides of the equation by 16. So we have 16 divided by 16. This will be equal to 1, so we can cancel this out. Okay. So what will be left here will be y squared. And then we have 576 divided by 16. This will give us positive 36. To solve for y, we need to extract the square roots of both sides of the equation. So to do this, we need to raise both sides of the equation by 1/2. So raise this to 1/2, raise to 1/2. So the denominator here will be the root of the equation. So since 2 is the root of y squared, this will be the square root. The same is true for 36. This is the square root. So our base is y squared. Its exponent will be the numerator. Its exponent here is 1. And here we have the base, which is 36. And the exponent is 1. So this will be the square root of y squared. And this is the square root of positive 36. The square root of y squared, that is positive y, and the square root of 36, we will have two values. We will have positive and negative 6. And then let us check. So we have here the first value, y equals to positive 6. And we have another value, y equals to negative 6. Our equation, we have 16 y squared equals to 576. And we have here negative, or rather, this will be 16 y squared equals to 576. So our y here is positive 6 raised to the power of 2 equals to 576. And we will have here 16. Our y is negative 6 raised to the power of 2. This will be equal to 576. So we have 16 multiplied by 36 equals to 576. And we have 16 negative 6 raised to 2, that is also positive 36, equals to 576. So 16 multiplied by 36, 576, equals to 576. And 16 times 36, 576, equals to 576. So therefore, our answers, which is y equals to positive 6 and y equals to negative 6, they are correct. Solving quadratic equations by extracting square roots. Our next problem, we have 49 b squared is equal to positive 17689, or positive 17,689. So to solve for this, first we need to cancel out 49 from 49b squared. So to do this, we need to divide both sides of the equation by 49. So dividing, we will have 49b squared all over 49. This will be equal to 17,689 divided by 49. So 49 divided by 49, okay, we can cancel this out, that is equal to 1. So what will be left on the left side will be b squared. And then we have 17,689 divided by 49. That will give us 361. To find for b, we need to extract the square root of both sides of the equation. So to extract the square root, first we need to raise both sides of the equation by 1/2. Raise this to 1/2. Okay. Now, since the denominator of the exponent is 2, this will be the square root. Okay, so the square root on the left, and the same is true on the right side, also the square root. So our base here is b squared. The exponent here will be the numerator, and the numerator is 1, so that will be b squared raised to 1. Our base here is 361. The exponent is also 1, so 361 raised to 1. This will be the square root of b squared equals to the square root of 361. Now, the square root of b squared, this will be positive b, and we have here the square root of 361. We will have two values, the positive and the negative. So 361, the square root of 361 is 19. Now let us check if the answers are correct. So first, b is positive 19. And we also have b, which is negative 19. So our equation will be 49. Our b here is positive 19 squared equals to 17,689. So for here, we also have 49 times negative 19 raised to 2 equals to 17,689. So we have here 49, and we have 19 squared, this will be 361 equals to 17,689. So this will be 49, negative 19 raised to 2, that will be 361, and this is 17,689. 49 multiplied by 361, this is 17,689. So 14,689. Again, this is 17,689, also equal to 17,689. So therefore, our answers for B, which are positive 19 and negative 19, are correct. Solving quadratic equations by extracting square roots. Our next problem, we have 16x squared minus 64 equals to 0. To solve for the value of x, first we need to separate negative 64 to the other side. So to do this, we need to transpose negative 64 to the other side. So transposing, what will be left on the left side will only be positive 16x squared. So if we transpose negative, this will change sign. From negative, this will become positive 64. And next, we have to cancel out 16 from 16x squared. So to do this, we need to divide both sides of the equation by 16. So 16x squared divided by 16 and 64 divided by 16. So dividing 16 divided by 16, we can cancel this out since this will be equal to positive 1. So 1 multiplied by x squared, this will give us x squared. And then we have 64 divided by 16, this will be equal to 4. And to solve for x, we need to extract the square roots. So extracting, we are going to raise both sides of the equation by 1/2. So since the denominator of our exponent, they have 2 as denominator, this will be equivalent to the square root. So this will also be the square root. And then our base here is x squared, and its exponent will be the numerator. So its exponent will be 1. And our base here is 4, its exponent will be 1. The square root of x squared, that will give us positive x, and the square root of positive 4, there will be 2 values, positive and negative, and this will be 2. Let us now check if our answers are correct. So our first value of x is positive 2. The second value of x is negative 2. Our equation is 16x squared minus 64 equals to 0. We have here also 16x squared minus 64 equals to 0. So our value for x is positive 2. This will be squared minus 64 equals to 0. So we will also have here 16. Our value of x here is negative 2 raised to the power of 2 minus 64 equals to 0. So we will have here 16, 2 raised to the power of 2, that is positive 4, minus 64, this will be 0. And 16 multiplied by negative 2 raised to the power of 2, that will be positive 4, minus 64, and this will be equal to 0. So 16 times 4, that is 64, minus 64, this is equal to 0. So 16 times 4, still 64, minus 64 equals to 0. So 0 equals 0, 0 equals to 0. So therefore, our values for x, which are positive 2 and negative 2, they are correct.